We're diving into a sweet success story, Nicholas Creamery, a local favorite known for its handcrafted small batch ice cream and deep roots in Monmouth County community. Joining me is Nicholas, the founder behind Nicholas Creamery, who has not only built a beloved ice cream shop, but has also expanded across the county while giving back through initiatives like Ice Cream Wars. We'll talk about the journey of starting a business here, the power of local support, and of course, the magic behind their incredible flavors.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So please tell us about yourself.
Well, I own Nicholas Barrel and Roost, Nicholas Creamery, and Nicholas Wines. We've been in business in Monmouth County for 25 years now. We're in our 25th year now. We started as Restaurant Nicholas for the first 20 years. And in 2020, we basically knocked down the restaurant, rebuilt it, and turned it into Barrel and Roost. In 2018, we opened our first ice cream store, almost as just like a little fun business. Restaurant Nicholas was so serious. I wanted to do something that was a little bit more fun. And our kids were, going to be looking for jobs soon. And I didn't think at the time that Restaurant Nicholas was the right environment for them. And so let's come up with this idea. The other founder, Jody, and Jody grew up in a ice cream business, and we always talked about doing something like this. Jody is the PR and marketing director for all the companies and a equity partner in Nicholas Creamery. And we opened the creamery in 2018 in Atlantic Highlands, and we made 300 gallons of ice cream for the first weekend. We opened on Memorial Day weekend, and we thought, that's plenty. And we were in there both scooping along with a couple of the high school girls that we'd hired. And probably about 2 hours into scooping, a customer that I knew from the restaurant came in and he goes, it looks like it's going good. And I said, yeah. I go, how much longer is this line? To which he then said, I think you better go outside. And then I go, oh, okay. I walked outside, and the cops were directing traffic because it was stretching over the side streets all the way past Carton Brewery. And I was like, oh boy.
And this was day one.
Day one. And I called Kelly, who was still with us and our master ice cream maker. And I said, we're going to need more ice cream. And she goes, I gave you 300 gallons. I go, we don't have enough.
Wow.
And that's where the business was born. Fairhaven was something we talked about. That's where Jody lives. And we said, she had 2 high school kids as well. Let's do something there. And then we knew right away we were onto something. And, it hasn't stopped since.
What was your first ice cream flavor? I have to ask.
Well, I'm in charge of all the old man flavors. And so my favorite flavor is pistachio. Mm-hmm. So that was the one that I pushed hard for. But if you look at the old man flavors, the good old fashioned chocolate, the Tahitian vanilla, pistachio, butter pecan, rum raisin, there's a whole host of other ones that I push for. We just recently did a black licorice, was the ultimate old man flavor. and well, what I could say, that's what I like.
But it sells, right?
Yeah, right.
People love it.
Right. And then Jody is in charge of all the fun flavors that we do and helping create with the Ice Cream Wars. And then Kelly has a big input into what we do as well. And so we always come up with flavors, and sometimes the most popular flavors, we don't know that they're going to be like that. The peanut butter palooza is one of our most popular flavors, and it came out of an ice cream war.
Did it really?
And it's kind of a wild story about Hudson, the Henry Hudson High School. We wanted them in it because we're in Atlantic Highlands the first year. We wanted them in it, right. But they weren't responding to us. And in the last day, they said, "Oh, we want to be in it." And I said, "Okay, but we're through production already." And I was kind of coming up with that flavor of peanut butter, and they said, can we add Oreos and other things? And I was like, okay. And we called it the original name for that was the Henry Hudson Trail or something like that. It was called something like that. It was named after them, and it won. It was the most popular flavor. People went nuts for it, and we kept it as a flavor. We had to rename it, and that's where the peanut butter. We didn't know that was going to happen.
Wow.
The rainbow Italian rainbow cookie
One of my
is
favorites.
it goes bonkers. It goes bonkers when we release that. We only do it in January. And it's my favorite cookie.
Mine too.
I grew up I'm not Italian, but I grew up in an Italian restaurant. And that was Christmas time was rainbow cookies. And, you know, it was one of those things is let's put it into an ice cream. And then Kelly's idea was to make it an almond ice cream. And, you know, it blew up.
I have about 2 or 3 pints in my freezer right
Yeah.
now, just saying.
Yeah, we
So
never
good.
know what's going to happen. And we made the black licorice ice cream as a goof on me, really.
Really?
And when we released that, we made so little of it because who wants black licorice ice cream? And people were like upset that we sold out so quick, and we made another batch this year. So we just don't know what's going to happen.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your children, they're the ones who inspired you to open up an ice cream shop. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, to some degree. Yeah, to some degree. I knew that I was going to be changing Restaurant Nicholas. In 18, I was already beginning to think about it.
Okay.
The lifespan of a restaurant's 20 years, and we were at 18 years. And so I knew I had to do something different. And that's what made me start thinking about another business. And then I thought that Barrel Roost would work, but I wasn't sure. and I wanted to make sure that, I was able to feed the family.
Right.
And I have other people who I have responsibilities to. Jody has a family. We're like, all right, well, what about if Barrel Roost doesn't work? We need another business. And then, okay, what are we going to do? The kids, then that's where it comes from.
How has your experience as a restaurant owner influenced you in the creamery?
I believe that quality is a sum of a lot of little things done right. And we do focus on that at the creamery, that we look at it like ice cream in the 1950s. People are like, oh my God, there's not a lot of magic. It's pure ingredients, handled properly, done right, and not messed with too much. No. And so it's the quality of a lot of little things done right. And in the restaurant business, it's a detail business. And so you always know a restaurateur. You walk around, and I have a lot of friends in the business, and you want to know who the owner is? It's the one that's bending down to pick up the piece of paper on the ground. It's the one that's walking over to the thermostat to adjust the temperature, the one that's lowering the lights, the one that's adjusting the level of the music. Any room I'm ever in, it's a curse that I'm like looking around and seeing those things. In the creamery, it's like that. We all the time, we just changed all the signs in the store. Were the other ones okay? Yeah. Were they good enough? No. And
I noticed this weekend.
Yeah. So were they good enough? No. And so I've been trying to figure out, it's easy to come up with a sign. Like, well, why can't you come up with a sign, you moron? It's not that hard. But we change the flavor so often. That's where the difficulty came in. And what were we going to do to have a good looking sign, but also be able to change the flavors? And this is what we've come up with.
How did you decide to bring the original Nicholas fine dining to Barrel Roost, to become Barrel Roost?
So, like I said, in 18, we were starting to really see the shift in the way people were eating and dining. And I noticed that it wasn't a price thing. It wasn't a quality thing. It was a style thing. And things go out of style. And that's why a lifespan of a restaurant is 20 years. So I started coming up with the idea to, how could we have chef-driven comfort food? Food that would still be meaningful, but not as serious. At Restaurant Nicholas was a 2.5-hour event. It was not an inexpensive event. We had a 50th anniversary in the restaurant every night of the week, multiple 50th anniversaries, engagements nightly. It was a serious thing. I would always said that people took us more seriously than we did. We didn't take ourselves that seriously.
We would go for special events.
Yeah, but people did take us very seriously. What we took seriously was the food and the service. But those times were changing. And I really do think that when we look back on the days of Restaurant Nicholas and other restaurants like mine, there are many of them, in the late 90s and early 2000s. And when I was in culinary school, it was like I studied the great chefs that we still talk about today, but they're not around anymore. And I can name 12 restaurants in the city that started with La and La that are gone, that we needed to do it. I think that when we look back at that time, it'll be sort of like when we look back in magazines and we see people in full suits on the beach, that I think my kids' will be like, wait, people used to eat with a tie on? And I can see that. You have to see the change coming. And then I started saying, what can we do? And I think the key to a rebrand is to fully understand what it is that you're doing. We're not changing the name. And some people will say, oh, you changed the name of the restaurant. No. We closed Restaurant Nicholas. It's gone. It's retired. People ask me to do those dishes. I say, I won't do them. It's not. We then did a complete gut renovation, moved walls, removed the roof, did all kinds of things, and then reversed the building in the direction that it is now. And so we fully rebranded the look. Then we had to look at the what the customers were looking for, what the staff was looking for. I listened to what the staff was saying they were hearing. I was obviously in it. I was seeing that. And then I think that if you have people who have a different vision than you do, to take in what it is that they have, and things you don't agree with, you just don't agree with. And if they can't get on board with that, then we had to, of course, part ways with people, because I believed what we were doing was the right thing. A lot of my customers did not think it was. And now they do.
They didn't like change.
Now they do.
Now they're ordering the best burger in Monmouth County.
In just sheer numbers, Restaurant Nicholas on a good week would serve 400 people. We were only open for 5 nights a week. We were open from 5:30 until 9:30. I mean, we were open no hours. 400 people a week. Barrel Roost serves 4,000 people a week.
Wow.
And those are real numbers. It's not the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
That's incredible.
And so now a lot of those customers come back and say, oh, you know what? Turns out you were right.
Yeah.
I go, well,
yeah. You knew.
Yeah, you have to know.
How would you describe the Monmouth County business community? Do you receive a lot of support from other businesses?
Yeah, I do. And I think that after the rebrand more than I did in the Restaurant Nicholas days. And I think that's because in the Restaurant Nicholas days, I was really just looked as a chef. And maybe a restaurateur. And then I think post-COVID, post the Barrel Roost, and then the success of Nicholas Creamery and Nicholas Wines, I think I'm looked at more as a businessman now. And so I will get a lot of people who will call me and ask me questions, and people who I have a ton of respect for myself that are asking me what I'm seeing, what I'm seeing as trends and change and that kind of stuff, which and I'm very open with people. I would tell them anything that I'm seeing, and I'm not trying to hide anything. I do think that camaraderie in the business world really works. I strongly believe in that. If you're doing in 5 years what you're doing today, you'll be out of business. You have to adjust. You have to adjust and evolve. And I know you know that in the real estate world right now, that you have to adjust and evolve. And I don't know the answers to what that evolvement will be, but the people who figure it out are going to be hugely successful, because that's the world. But everything is like that. If Blockbuster would have evolved, they'd be Netflix. Right. If Kmart would have evolved, they'd be Target.
Sure.
And I think that the world is changing more quickly than it ever was before. I think that the phone,
instant gratification that people expect. Oh
yeah. You don't do it. And that's, that's a deeper dive into what changed Restaurant Nicholas. It was the iPhone.
Sure.
There's no doubt in my mind it was the iPhone, because it used to be that people would go out to dine for their experience. That was their night.
Oh, wow.
Now people, they're on their phone all the time.
You don't realize how that shifts
so
much.
And I could be, the guy sitting on my porch yelling to get off my lawn, or I could get on board and figure out, okay, I'm in business. How do we work within the new world? And that's what we did.
You've been expanding all over Monmouth County. What's driven that growth?
The customers. The customers truly, they're driving it. We opened Atlantic Highlands and then Fairhaven very quickly, and then COVID hit, right? And we were getting our footing and all that, and so then but then COVID hit. We opened Tinton Falls. We thought, when we open Tinton Falls, that'll slow down Fairhaven, because it's like a half the distance in between. No, Tinton Falls got their own customers, and Fairhaven stayed the same. And then we opened in Long Branch. And Long Branch was far enough away that it didn't really affect anything at all. But then that was really busy. And we knew what the sales were because that's the only store we took over. Pretty much, it's the only store that we took over that was a successful ice cream store already. And that was a Hoffman's, and we knew what sales were there. I mean, everybody was very open about it, and we doubled them right away. And we're like, oh, really, this is something here. And then when we opened Middletown, well, it was a whole nother world.
Is that your newest location,
Middletown is our newest location. We took a year off. We opened one every year, but we took a year off. We took a year off during COVID, and then a year off after Middletown, because we realized at that time, for us to keep up the quality, we were going to have to expand our factory. And then, for the last year, we expanded the factory, and now we're ready to go. And so we're opening the new location this spring in Wall Township.
So exciting.
Thank you.
Is your manufacturer here in Monmouth
Our
County?
manufacturer is here. It's we make it we took a warehouse space, converted it into a production facility. It's in Tinton Falls. It's not related to the Tinton Falls store. It just happens to be there. And we've expanded the machines and our freezer space. Now our freezer space is it's 10 times what it used to be. And it might be 20 times what it used to be when we opened up. And what we can do, we can just produce ice cream faster, but at keeping at the same quality. And we were worried after the Middletown, because we were really pushing the limits to what we could do. We better retool, but do it the right way. And so we took a year to do that. Now that we've done that, we're on our way.
That's awesome. So I know you do so much to give back to the community. Tell us about Ice Cream Wars. How did that start? What is it about? For someone that doesn't know?
Ice Cream Wars is it's a program where we invite all the local schools to create a flavor, and then for that month we put that flavor in the stores, and whoever sells the most ice cream wins. And there's a first, second, and third prize, and we donate the money to their PTAs. And we've not had any repeat winners.
Oh, really?
We've not had any repeat winners. This year's just 14 schools. It's for the month of March 1st to the 21st is what it is. And it is their principal and their teachers will come in on a day and scoop, and then this kids they have a lot of there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of school spirit. They'll bring their marching bands. One of the schools once brought their fire department. They all came in on the fire trucks, and their mascots are there and different things. And their favorite teacher is scooping behind the counter.
That's so cool.
And it's just a fun thing, right? It's fun, and March is kind of like that month in school. That is, it's not spring.
You're like,
kinda,
3 more months.
Yeah, so this is just it's a fun thing that we do. And they name the flavor, they create the flavor. We of course make it, and it's in all 5 of the stores, and it's been fun. Jody created the idea. I think her original idea was
marketing genius.
She's a marketing. Yeah, agreed. That it was based on the March Madness. It's kind of like that. And I don't really think there's any losers in this. There's no losers. Kids are getting to eat ice cream, and this can't be. But people take it seriously. People take it.
Those poor workers. They're like working out their wrists the entire time. They're giving pints
and school teachers. The school teachers come in. They think, oh, this is going to be easy. Because a lot of the staff we have are younger, and they're just like scooping away. They're like, oh, this is easy, and they get in there like, oh no, this is not easy at all.
So for someone who's thinking of moving to Monmouth County, why would you say it's a great place to live and do business? So
I've lived in multiple parts of this country. I lived in the most beautiful part of this country in La Jolla, California for 2 years. And I worked in Northern California, and I worked in New York City, and I've lived here. And I was born and raised my early part of my life in New York City, but then came out here for my high school. And so I know different areas, and there's no doubt that this area is undervalued. Certainly, if you buy a big expensive home in one of the towns around here, you'll think, oh, expensive. Well, go up to Westchester, go to Greenwich, and take a look at what it is. We are way undervalued. My friends who come to visit me from the city, who will take the ferry. The one guy was freaking out. He goes, there was dolphins swimming alongside of us.
Right.
And he goes, and this is how people go to work every day? And I go, yeah, this is
Yeah.
how people go to work. And so I do think it's amazing. I think as New Jersey goes, our taxes are on the higher side,
Sure.
but comparatively to North Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
not as bad. And we have some land, and I live on a beautiful property in the Navasink Atlantic Highlands
Gorgeous area.
section, and we can be on the ferry to the city in 5 minutes, where I can drive into the city and be there in less than an hour. But at the top of my street are horses, and down the road there's cows. I think that's pretty cool.
best
That
of
you,
all
yeah, I think
worlds,
that's pretty
really.
cool that you
Yeah.
could be right off of a major highway
Sure.
and be that close and have a little bit of land, right? We, it's not like, we have hundreds of acres, but we're not boxed on top
Right.
of each other.
Right. So we often see Nicholas Creamery, especially collaborating with other businesses. Who would your next business be, and why?
So the collaborations are things we try to really help small businesses starting up and trying to find if we can help with that. And then we also try to work with friends, people that we trust and been around for years. And then we also, when we open a new store, go to local businesses in the area because we may not be as well known. So I would think I'm going to talk to Joe Leone
Sure.
and do some kind of cannoli flavor or something like that, because he's not far from where our new store will be. So that's just off the top of my head, one of the things I think of. But I can say that we've done collaborations with people who may have had, a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand Instagram followers, and today have over 40,000 followers. So we do try to help each other out. That's where the camaraderie of.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So you are a Monmouth County resident yourself. What new businesses would you like to see in Monmouth County?
I would like to see more interesting, diverse restaurants. I like ethnic restaurants. I think that we kind of fall into one category of restaurant for the most part. And I think that anytime someone's opening up a restaurant that's a little different, I'm interested. I'm excited about it. So because I'm in the restaurant world, that would be one that I would look for.
Aside from Barrel Roost, what are your favorites? Do you have any local favorites?
I like Vic Rollo's restaurants. He has Biravino and Adichie, and River Point, a few other ones. But I think he's a good operator. That I think he really is focusing in on doing things the right way, the old school way, like we do. Frank Brusco has a few restaurants. He has Gabriella's and Patricia's and a few other things. And he's a friend of mine, and I always find what he's doing very interesting. He's very vibe oriented, and I appreciate that. I like businesses of all types. I think that when you go into a place or a restaurant and it's successful, I'm interested. And I remember Tommy Bompiglio came into Barrel Roost probably just a week before he passed away. And we had a long conversation about restaurants, and he was surprised at that I was envious, or I don't know if that's the right word, but very supportive of what he does, what he was doing at Tommy's. And I was like, listen, you're doing that kind of business, people are happy. I love incredible. It. Whatever you think, whatever it is, because I think a lot of people think because I was Nicholas of Restaurant Nicholas that I have my nose up in the air towards food. I'm not like that, but I get it. I understand, business. You're providing a service to people, and that's the goal of a business, to make people happy. And if people are leaving your place happy, I'm interested. I want to see what you're doing. And I remember telling a business owner that wanted to open a restaurant in Seabright. This was like in the first year or two and I told Tommy this story. I said, you better go figure out what's making Tommy so successful. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I go, you can't open a business in this town and not understand why he's successful. And that business, that restaurateur didn't agree with me. They didn't make it. They didn't agree with me because they were talking just quality of food and stuff. I said, one thing I've learned in the 25 years in the restaurant business, I started out in culinary school at the CIA, and I was French trained and worked with nothing but German and French chefs, and everything was about quality of food and service and all that. And that was so important to me. And it is still so important to me. But what I learned later on in life was it's everything that makes a restaurant successful. And you better figure out what is making your competitor successful. And there is that it factor, that je ne sais quoi, that vibe, and it's all everything together. And I told them that. I said, you nailed it like that. And then look, they had, I don't know, 15, I don't know what they have now. So there's a lot of other places.
Out of curiosity, one of my favorite books, I don't know if you've ever heard of it or read it, Unreasonable Hospitality.
I've heard of it, but I've not read it.
You would absolutely love that book.
Yeah.
It's the owner of 11 Madison.
Is it 11 Madison? Was it Will Guidara? Yeah. Yep. I should read that.
An incredible book.
Yeah.
He's something that I think you would probably enjoy.
Yeah, they understand.
Based on what you're saying.
Yeah. So it is funny. My son now works at the restaurant. My daughter works at the Creamery. Time's gone on. They're older now. So my son is 17, and one of his choices, or one of his hopes, is to go to Cornell hospitality business school. And I had asked him, I said, and because I get asked this question often, I asked him this question and he nailed it. I said, what's the difference between hospitality and service? And he nailed it right away. A lot of people don't understand that. And the difference is, service is giving something to someone. Hospitality is making them feel a certain way about what you're giving them. And I would tell you this, the one thing I've learned in 25 years, hospitality, especially in the restaurant business, obviously in the hotelier business, pretty much anything. I would imagine in the real estate business, I'm sure you could screw something up, but if you're making people feel a certain way, that's is more important, because you could be perfect, but if they don't like you, they don't like you. 100%. And that's so important. And yeah, I was pretty impressed that my son got that right away. He's
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah, that was.
Out of curiosity, getting back to the Creamery, what inspires your next flavor, and have any flavors ever flopped?
Flavors are collaborations between the three of us, Kelly, Jody, and myself. And so what inspires them could be just the season, right? The Jersey corn.
Sure.
I have been, and talking to Kelly about this, we don't know that we'll be able to pull it off, but we've been talking about doing a Jersey tomato for a while. I don't know that we'll do it, but we do it. I don't think it'll be as popular as the Jersey corn, but seasons do do it. And whereas Italian rainbow cookie certainly doesn't have a season, but it feels like January, December is that season, right? And then have we had any flops? Yeah, we certainly have had some flops. I mean, we've looked at some. I don't know about that one. The one that sticks out is Fireball.
Like a hot cinnamon.
Yeah. We took the hot cinnamon gum, whatever you call it, jawbreakers, and then soaked them in the cream, and it tasted just like a cinnamon jawbreaker, which most people don't like.
So that flopped.
That may not have been our best choice. And then there's been a lot that I have not liked, but people love. But that's the same way in the restaurant business. Two of our most popular dishes are ones I did not like, but everyone on my staff was like, Nicholas, you're wrong. And I said, all right, we'll try. And then they were right. And I was wrong, that you have to be like that. So there are flavors that that's not for me. Right. And one of the funnier ones that we ever did was the dough in our brown sugar cookie dough ice cream, which is the number one flavor. It accounts for 30% of all ice cream we sell.
Wow.
And I wanted to make the dough better inside of it. And I just thought, and we did. There is no question in my mind that we did. And people hated it. 2 weeks of nothing but, what did you do? And I was like,
gosh, they're like, this isn't what it was.
And it's very funny because Jody and I both agreed that this dough was better, but no one else did.
They didn't like the change.
So I guess that's a flop, right? You're just like, and we were like, good, this dough cost me more money. We're going back to the other one. Yeah. And it's never, I guess New Coke, Old Coke, they did something stupid like that too. Exactly. So whatever.
So what's next for Nicholas Creamery? Any events coming up? I know new locations are coming up.
Yeah, I think right now we're focused on the new location because that takes a lot to open a new store, and then we'll be looking for the next location after that. And Jody posted something the other day, and we got so many people writing in and different things. And man, I feel like I can get the people in Marlboro to just
I was
pay
just
for
about
one.
to
And
say, how do
Marlboro
you
people are
choose your
going,
next location?
yeah,
I know out west they're looking for one.
yeah, they definitely are. And we own them 100%. There are no franchises. There's no partners. It's us. So we do have to do it at the right pace.
Right.
In it. So I do think it would be more Western Monmouth County would be the next one. The summer's coming. We always have things going on. We have the ice cream carts that are floating around to people's homes for parties and weddings and all kinds of other things. And then we're also very excited about the renovation to the factory that we just did. So we really want to see it kick in for the summer to be able to produce. Great. And I just had a custom freezer truck made, which to most people is about the most boring thing in the world, but it's the most expensive piece of equipment we've ever purchased. Oh, wow. And it's being made right now in Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and it goes to negative 30 degrees, and we can put pallets of ice cream on it because we were a small little company. Not that we're gigantic now, but we outgrew what we were doing. We were outgrowing it quickly, and we had the truck that we drive now is like an old 1950s Johnson body side loader. You open the doors from the side, and people are like, oh my God, it's like an antique, which is really cool. I restored it all, and I found it in a junkyard in West Virginia and had it totally stripped down and remade. And then it went on a new chassis, but we were outgrowing that pretty quickly. So stupid things like that, but that's where the chef in me comes out. I want
Where could a listener find more information about Nicholas Creamery? What's the easiest way for them to?
I think the best way for Nicholas Creamery is Instagram, TikTok. I mean, we're huge on that. I'm sure it's at Nicholas Creamery. Barrel Roost is barrelandroost.com, and then Nicholas Wines is nicholaswines.com. And Nicholas Wines is the online wine company that we had, and it's always the one that people forget about, but it might be the most important because it's the one that got us through COVID.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
You were doing deliveries.
Oh yeah, we were delivering all over the place, shipping all over the country, and other things. And Nicholas Wines has exploded. It's a great company. And it's an all-online wine company that I select the wine, and then we offer it in an email, and then people can purchase it and have it delivered to their home in Monmouth County for free. One of my trucks delivers it to the home, and then if you're outside of Monmouth County, it gets shipped to you for free.
Where does the wine come from?
All over. So we have some wine that's specifically for us. Like my daughter's name is Juliana Layla, and that's our brand of Juliana Layla Cabernet, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir. But then we sell other things like Caymus and different things, and we have everything from $12 bottles to $1,200 bottles, and the average bottle sold at Nicholas Wines is under $20. And we have a very loyal following because they know I'm curating the wine. I taste 40 Chardonnays to buy one. You don't have to go into a liquor store and see 100 Chardonnays and not figure out what to do. Or same thing with Cabernet and Pinot Noir. I'll find the best one in that category and offer it to you. And people like my palate. I like that.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. This was wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. That's a wrap for this episode of All Things Monmouth County and Real Estate. Thanks for tuning in and being part of our community. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Have questions or a topic you'd love to hear about? Reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay inspired, stay informed, and enjoy everything Monmouth County has to offer.